had a good one last night. The Eagles are undefeated no more. What did you think about last night's game?
Sam, I'm not going to come on this podcast and lie to you. I'm not going to lie to listeners. I didn't watch a single bit of last night.
You're awful.
I had to play the whipped boyfriend. It's the birthday.
My God.
The birthday dinner. I had to go for some fondue. You ever had fondue?
No, I have not had fondue. That sounds like a recipe for boo-boo. So I know I have not had fondue.
Fondue does some boo-boos to the wallet and some, just in case you burn yourself when you're dipping your meats in the oil. That can cause some boo-boos too, man.
Here you go with that extra ass shit, man.
Hey, man,
was it good at least? Did you at least have a good time?
Oh, it was it was a good time. It was my girlfriend and her friends, and it was a good time. Yeah, man, make the whip noises.
And her friends, so it was you and all girls?
No, it was friends, a boyfriend, and then one of their a friend. It was a significant other, and one of the friends was
guy at like
I wasn't
the ladies' dinner. Like you don't want to be that guy. Like it's
not
a good look.
No, and then there was no TVs either, so I couldn't watch it. So I'm not gonna lie to the viewers, but all I know is that just looking at the stats that I pulled up, in between breaks. Is AJ Brown didn't do much. The Commanders they pulled away, man. And I think right now Taylor Heineke is the guy moving forward, or should be the guy moving forward.
Yeah, by default. A couple takeaways from last night. It was a pretty good game, and it's crazy because before the game I said that the Eagles are probably due to lose one. I said they need to just get this loss out the way. You don't want to have the weight of being undefeated on your shoulders on top of trying to make a playoff run, and you're still kind of a young team mixed with some veterans. So they needed that. They needed to get humbled. They need more coaching points because you can act like the outside noise and being undefeated is not affecting you, but that's just not realistic. You start smelling yourself. So they needed to be humbled. A game they easily could have won. They're the best turnover differential. They have the best turnover differential in the league. And last night, they couldn't stop turning the ball over. Yes, the one by Dallas Goedert, he got face masked before he fumbled. Terrible call. The refs have to see. It's a terrible miscall. The refs have to see that. But I mean, besides that, they just didn't play clean football. The defense really kind of got dominated. But they were bending, don't break. They didn't give up a lot of touchdowns, especially in the second half. But Washington, I'll give them credit. They stayed committed to the running game, and Heineke made the throws that he needed to make. And yes, he's probably going to be the guy going forward by default because who else is there? Carson Wentz, he stinks. Carson Wentz, Taylor Heineke, same guy. And I think Heineke just has a little bit more juice. And so at that point, you kind of got to ride the hot hand. So I think that's what they'll do. But what I saw from the Eagles last night, I'm not worried or alarming. Devontae Smith had an excellent game. I don't even think Jalen Hurts was bad. Even on the interception, the ball hit AJ Brown right in the hands, and the DB literally just took it from him. So yes, did the Eagles get hosed by that face mask? And there was also a roughing the passer to end the game. That was the right call. It was the right call. It's ticky-tack, but it was because he came in and he hit him with his hands too late. He was already touched by Hassan Reddick. There was no need for that by Brandon Graham. But I don't think that cost them the game. They had so many chances to still win that game, and they just couldn't get it done.
Yeah, I think just halfway through, just looking at it, it was all Washington in the second and third quarters scoring wise. I mean, just looking at the box score, but I think that says a lot about the Washington Commanders is that they all season have always had to come back and play from behind. They were never like this was a time for them to say, all right, we're on top. We're going to try to stay on top against a really good Eagles team. So I think for the Eagles, like you said, you're not worried about them. They are the best well-rounded team in all of football right now from all three phases. And I think for them, it's just kind of, putting it all together and staying all together. You got to play the 60 minutes that you have on the board. You can't let teams go on runs like this. And again, it's the Eagles. They've had a fantastic season. We're not worried about them in the sense of a football fan. If you're a Giants fan, you're like, this is fantastic. You just had the best
game back.
They were game back, and that's the best that's the best scenario, that the Packers won against the Cowboys, and then you have the Eagles losing to the Commanders, their first loss. Now the Giants are only game and a half or game behind of first place, and they're also right now guaranteed in this, if season ended today, a guaranteed playoff team.
Yeah. And I think the Giants will make the playoffs. Not sure if they'll have one of those Eli Manning infamous type runs, but I do think they will make playoffs. It's going to be tough because that division now has 3 really good teams. So you're going to be vying for the wild card. So you kind of got to keep an eye out on everybody else. The NFC hasn't been that great. So I do think y'all could possibly maybe get 3 teams in. But we'll see. Is it the last like 5 weeks of the season in NFC are going to be like serious, because those divisional games are really what's going to decide everybody's fate. I want to get into Bills Vikings.
Right.
Lot to unpack there. I think it's time for people to wholeheartedly say and appreciate that the Vikings are real. That is a real football team. That was a statement win. You come back from 14 down in Buffalo, and you show everybody what you're made of. Justin Jefferson, there's an argument that he's the best receiver in the league right now this year, because best receiver in the league is a year-by-year basis. Rent is due every day. And it's hard for me to find a receiver maybe outside of Tyreek Hill playing at a higher level than him. But as far as being the most complete, I probably think he's the most complete as far as routes, speed, hands. I mean, that catch was amazing, Jack. And I think kudos to the Vikings and that Dalvin Cook run. I think they're just a well-rounded team. Their defense can be a little bit better, but Pat P, sealed the game. Dalvin Cook is still a stud. The O-line is still good. You still have Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson alongside Adam Thielen. That's not a team that I think you want to see in the postseason, Jack.
I don't think that's a team you want to see in general.
Yeah.
And we talked about this 2 weeks ago when TJ got traded there. That was what they needed. They needed a consistent tight end that wasn't going to get hurt. Another guy that could block and he can catch very well.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm here to say Kirk Cousins can play, man. He's gotten a lot of disrespect. A lot. But he, on a consistent basis this season.
He's earned some of it.
He's earned some. But, when he tripped on the offensive lineman's foot late in the fourth, and you're like, oh, here's Kirk Cousins. And then he threw that pass to Justin Jefferson. You're like, oh my God, Kirk Cousins. But that was more Jefferson, no doubt.
He said Jefferson down there somewhere.
Yo, I love that analogy. He's like, F it. Jefferson's down there. But it's true. The secondary problems for the Bills really, showed this game. And that no one can guard. Nobody in the league can guard Jefferson right now, one-on-one. Maybe Sauce Gardner. Maybe. But
I love a good
team. I would love that. Hey, man, I think that the Bills, again, these last couple losses, they've been on Josh Allen. Toward the end, they've been on Josh Allen. Yeah. Kudos to the Bills. The Bills have played a lot of games this year where they just, on the defensive end, look fantastic, and offensively they look unstoppable. They got too many weapons to go through now. But really, I thought the Bills' loss was because of Josh Allen's decision-making toward the end. And it was the same thing versus the Jets. And that seems to be the common theme is it's toward the end, Josh Allen's decisions are questionable. But I'm never going to go against this guy's talent. This guy was an MVP candidate throughout the year. Right now, I think it belongs to, Tua's in that conversation above Josh Allen.
I think it belongs to Patty right now.
It's tough not to look at Tua and say, okay, when he's been on the field, how much of a difference his team has had winning.
I think missing those games is going to hurt him, though. Missing those games is going to hurt him. And Mahomes is Patty is on pace for 5 stacks and 50 tuds. I mean, if he's number 1 seed in the AFC with 5 stacks throwing and 50 tuds, he's winning that MVP.
Winning. I mean, yeah, and he
is winning.
Toward the beginning, it was like Josh Allen run away, but these last couple of games have been tough for him.
Tua is in the conversation for sure. I think Tyreek should be ahead of Tua in the MVP
Tyreek has been.
If we're being honest.
Yep, Tyreek has been incredible. Just he has more receiving yards than teams do, and that's insane to think about. And
He's on pace for
And that's
2,000.
great. You know,
He hits 2,000. He breaks the record. You might have to give it to him.
you
You
might
might
have to.
have to. That's too historic, man. I mean, nobody thought anybody would come close to Megatron's record got close to 2,000. But back what you were saying about the Bills, they're finding ways to lose games these last few weeks, and it's alarming to me because a lot of it is Josh Allen's decision making, and then especially last game, it was the red zone. You can't turn the ball over in the red zone because you got points. They get a field goal out of any of those red zone trips. I mean, they win the game, you know, and they had no business letting the Vikings back in that game, but it was Josh Allen that gave the Vikings life. And that's what you don't want to see because you saw too much of that early on of him being a loose cannon and him making just some questionable throws sometimes. And he's toned that down, but he has to make sure. He has to make sure that this doesn't continue. Like next week is going to be big for the Bills. They need to get back on track. I know he has the injury, but he has to just be more efficient and more better. He still had a pretty good game. You can't make those mistakes at a critical time and a critical place in the red zone.
Yeah. And again, another team I'm not really worried about. I think it's like toward the stretch of like there are the divisions between, we mentioned them earlier, the NFC East and the AFC East. Out of those teams right now, 7 of the 8 of those teams combined are making the playoffs for their respective divisions and conferences, which is crazy.
2 divisions everybody said were awful to start the season.
Right. And now like that, you know, we're going to mention these guys later, but teams in the AFC West are not living up to it.
Garbage. Who would have thought the AFC West would be garbage, Jack? I mean, golly, man. We thought, man, he's gonna be the best games ever. If I let's see Russ's non-cooking ass in prime time again, I'm gonna be upset. I'm gonna call Pete Carroll. We're gonna go to his house and we're gonna rough Russ up because I'm sick of it. I don't want to see Russell Wilson in the ponies again.
Bro,
talk to me about Packers Cowboys, bro. Talk
to
me about Packers Cowboys.
Well, I'll tell you what I really love. I love the bounce back effort by Aaron Rodgers. And I've mentioned this before. LaFleur is not a good coach. You've mentioned this before. LaFleur is not a good coach, in my opinion. And there's been reports that, you know, toward the end of games that Aaron Rodgers is not happy with the play call, but he made it work. So especially this game, you got to see Aaron Rodgers really do well. And then Watson, man, out of nowhere, he's doing a Randy Moss. It's incredible. It was so awesome.
The Packers, you know, it's crazy going into this game. I'm like, the Cowboys, you around and find out. Like, I'm like, because I heard Aaron for the first time last week, he was the reason they lost, you know, against the Lions. It was him. For the first time, it was really him. And he heard all the talk and all this trash everybody's saying. Like, listen, I'm still the back-to-back MVP. Don't get it twisted. So I knew he was going to come out here on some ish. And boy, did he. I think the Packers, this is a win that could turn them around. And stay with me. This type of win galvanizes a team. And seeing Christian Watson emerge, he dropped the first 2 passes in that game. So I was like, oh, more Christian Watson is not being good. And then he just explodes because Aaron just showed that trust. Hey, I'm going to keep coming back to you. I'm going to keep coming. You know, these young guys are going to start getting it. Like I said, I didn't think maybe it'd be this year. Maybe they've turned it around now. But I said, when these young guys get it, Watson and Dobbs, they have talent. They have to get it, though. They have to understand spacing. They have to understand how to settle in zones. They have to understand how to read coverages as a receiver. That's why Cooper Kupp is so good. He played quarterback, so he sees the game from a quarterback's perspective, and that allows him to just always get open. See, receivers have to understand that. You can be a fast guy. You can have all the talent. But until you can actually process coverages, process what type of leverage the defensive back is giving you, and adjust your routes and your releases off of that, you really won't have success in the NFL. And to see them take that step, especially Christian Watson, was great to see. They ran the ball very well. Even when they got down 14, they still ran the ball. And I will never trust the Cowboys, and I will especially just never trust Dak Prescott in big games because he's shown us time and time again that he falls short in big games. Yes, the defense was more of the issue because you can't give up that amount of points. But at some point, you pay this guy. You pay him the guy money. He has to be the guy in that moment. He has to lead a game-winning drive. He has to convert the fourth down. He just does just enough, and it's never above and beyond like the great quarterbacks do. Jack,
I agree. Sam, I think it's that time.
is it that time?
I think it's that time. Hey, yo, what the?
All right, what you got for me, Jack?
I need to open this up. A little Celsius action.
Celsius crank mid-episode. So basically, you didn't care about A Block, you dirty bubble. So now we get the Ayo, what the, and now you want to crank the Celsius. Sponsor us, please. I need free ones.
I would love Celsius sponsor.
You're listening. Sponsor us. What you got for me, Jack?
My Ayo, what the F is me. It's me. So
oh my God, let me hear this.
So Sam, I've been to 2 weddings in the past couple weeks, right? So one was in Texas, and one was in Connecticut. So congratulations to my friend Cam, who got married, in Texas, and then my cousin Annie just got married. Very happy for her and Ryan. It was a awesome ceremony, and reception was great. So the ceremony was a little longer. I haven't been to a traditional mass in a while. So a traditional wedding, I should say, and more if you go to church and then everyone drives to a reception afterwards and everybody, enjoys the time there. So it was the first real one I've been to in a little bit. So we're at the reception. It's cocktail hour. Everybody's having a couple of drinks and then they do the first dance and everybody goes to their table. So I know I'm sitting with my younger cousins. I'm sitting with my girlfriend and sitting with the siblings of Annie, the bride. And this older gentleman who I didn't see his face, and I went over and tapped him on the back because I didn't want to steal anybody's seat. So I went over to this older gentleman, pat him on the back. I said, "Excuse me, sir, are you here with somebody?" And this gentleman turns around and he has the white priest collar on. I was like, "Oh my God!" I just asked a priest if he had a date, and then
you're embarrassing. You're embarrassing. What if he said yes stuff? Like, what if he just got out of his priest mode? Like, I'm eyeing some shit right over there. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I had to go to church more if the priest was like that. He's like, you see that bridesmaid over there? Like, hey, yo, cool, you see hell, bro?
See little mama over on the other side.
I'm finna give it his word. I'm sorry, I'm not a good person. My Ayo,
bro, you didn't ask a priest if he had a date, and I played it off as if I was joking.
You're just an idiot. That's all.
Well, the thing is, he played it off as if I was joking because I smiled after, and everybody's kind of at the cocktail hour. I was, but he had no idea. So we're gonna play off to him that I was joking, and oh my God, there's just things like that are stupid things I do. I'm stupid, Sam. I'm not a smart guy. I have social awareness. I have social awareness like at least 95% of the time, but that moment, man, when a few margaritas in with some salt, I'm done. Like, I'm just having fun at that point.
You drink a margarita, you lick the rim, you lick the salt around the rim.
Dude, duh.
Oh, you're zesty. Oh my God, let's move on. He's zesty. He is zesty. Well, my AO is we gotta talk about him. The Las Vegas Raiders, bro. So Jeff Saturday tweeted that the Raiders looked terrible a couple weeks ago. Man gets a job for the Colts and shows you he meant what he said, bro. I have to say it's one of the most probably badass things that I've seen happen in the NFL. He was on the couch saying, yo, these guys look terrible, bro. You talking with your guys like, man, I beat their ass, bro. And then he went out there and did it, like, in Las Vegas. That is insane, man. And I know, what is it? Mark Davis is not Al Davis is his pops, right? I think it's Mark Davis is the current Raiders owner.
Owner.
He's saying, Rome wasn't built in a day, Dynasty wasn't built in a day. We're going to be patient, and I understand that. They have lost 6 one-possession games this year, Jack. That's how close it is from them being one of the best teams in the AFC. But you are what your record says you are. Yes, you've had injuries, but even with the talent that you have on that roster, you guys should not be 2-7. Okay, like there's no excuse. You should at least have 4 wins. You can at least be 500 or coming near 500. The Buccaneers have looked awful most of the year. They're 500. Like there's no excuse. And look, Josh McDaniels may not be on the hot seat this year. Oh, but next year will be do or die. Oh, you can't follow this year up with more of the same, or he'll be out of there. So Derek Carr crying after the game with some super soft stuff. What he was crying over, it was just so extra, bro. The sacrifices we make, bro. How much money you make? Shut up. Everybody know if you play football, you know the sacrifices you make, what you have to do to your body for the preparation. They're no different than everybody else. So cry me a river as to I just wish everybody in the locker room felt the same. It's soft, bro. That's soft. You're supposed to be a leader. You can't be up at the podium crying, Jack. How you crying? You just got paid. What are you crying for? Like, bro. Like I don't know. It's okay to be in touch with your feminine side, but as the leader of men in a professional football league, you can't be at the podium crying like a softie, Jack. You can't do it. You cry in the locker room like everybody else. There's a way to do things, Jack. And I think the Raiders are just a mess. Yes, they can get it turned around because they have talent. I know Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller's hurt, but they have talent, Josh Jacobs and company. They have to start looking forward towards next year. Josh McDaniels is trying to build something, and I guess we'll see, but it's not off to a good start.
And the Raiders are not it.
No, the Raiders are not it. Let's talk hoops. Enough of this football stuff. Jack, the Nets? Is it near the Nets looking all right? But I know they lost to the Lakers the last game. That's okay. They're kind of on a road trip. Nets playing some defense, holding teams consecutive games, like under 100, putting some wins together. And we said it, they weren't far off. They were losing games very close under Steve Nash. And again, we're still waiting for Ben Simmons to not be trash and to actually just at least play defense. But even without Kyrie, Jack, that's looking all right under Jack Ball.
That Clippers win looks really appealing to me. The Clippers are a very good basketball team. They have 2 losses on their schedule to the Mavericks.
Yeah.
Luka
to the Don. He's the Don.
He's just, you can't stop that. You had to beat the Knicks to really prove it. So Vaughn's here's one thing. Vaughn as head coach is more defensively sound.
Yeah.
Which is good. Royce O'Neal being out there is a huge help. Royce O'Neal is a really good 2-way player.
He was a great pickup.
Yep. Simmons stinks. And he's not helping your case at all. But I like what the direction the Nets are heading. They are playing around KD, which for some reason they weren't doing as with Nash. It was all about extra pass this, extra pass that. Dude, if you have Kevin Durant on your team, just go play basketball and make the extra pass, but the extra pass better be going to KD. Mm-hmm. I like Seth Curry coming off injury and playing well is super, super big for them off the bench. Or he's a spark. He's a very good shooter. And I think that is where, and we're going to touch on this, is that's where the Nets and that's where the Lakers differ. Yes, the Lakers beat the Nets, but that's where they differ, is the fact that they surround Durant with other shooters. So if Durant pump fakes, dribble drives, and kicks it out, they have somebody that can shoot. And another really great surprise of this team is Nick Claxton. He's getting boards, and they are going. Their fast breaks are the difference maker. They just go. You just like Vaughn's like, get the rebound and go. We'll set if you can't get it, pull it out. We'll do some sets, quick one hitters, and that's where I think the offense. With Nash, it was like, all right, offense, this is what we're gonna do. Defense, let's just switch on screens. Vaughn's like defensive plan this, rebound, and then just go. It's two different styles of basketball, and I think that works more for the Nets.
I agree. I think he also has the ear of the locker room. He's somebody who's been around the Nets for a long time, and he has their respect. He's a pro. He's went through the coaching ranks. He has their respect. KD has been playing awesome all year. I think he picked his facilitating back up once Vaughn got to the helm. And I think it's doing great for them. Once they get Kyrie back, man, don't watch them. They're going to start rolling because, yes, they do need Kyrie back. They have Kyrie back. They don't lose a game like that to the Lakers. But Seth Curry, Joe Harris, starting around in the form, both coming off of some injuries. Joe Harris is being major. The Nets are going to be all right. I think they're going to be all right. By halfway through the season, their record's going to be decent. They will be in the playoffs. How would you fix the Lakers? Or can the Lakers even be fixed?
Sounds like a hot take, Sam. But at this moment in time, just how the Lakers are playing, how the roster is constructed, I don't think LeBron James should be a Laker with this squad. So I say the Lakers make a trade for LeBron, or they make – there's two options. You really have to construct a roster around LeBron, which means shooters. Oh, yeah, then shooters. You got to put more shooters around him. You got to get a Buddy Hield type. You have to just, really do a run and gun offense kind of a style for him. And that's not the guys they have right now. They're winning. They're winning games without him, which is
they won one game.
I'm saying that's a game against the Nets. That's a game against the Nets. That's pretty big. And AD's dropping 37. That's pretty big for a guy that hasn't been able to work around the offense that well. And Russ off the bench is probably the best thing they've done so far this year. That was probably their best decision.
He's way better. Way better off the bench.
He could be a good candidate for Sixth Man of the Year coming up. So I think in his play style, in his role, I think he's doing well with that. But yeah, if maybe you go for the most to trade LeBron, I don't know if that's the smartest thing to do. And right now LeBron is championship bust kind of attitude, and I just can't wait to play with my son. And I think it's kind of hurting how the Lakers are doing things, because it's LeBron James. You can't say you can't just trade this guy. He's never been quote unquote traded. He's gone other places. So it's trading away your GM. So if LeBron wants to be a better GM, you have to get shooters around him, or you have to look elsewhere. You got to do one of the two, in my opinion.
Well, LeBron's not the GM of this team. I think it's clear as Rob Pelinka, because LeBron would have never assembled this casting crew around him. Anytime he's been a late GM, he's always surrounded himself with shooters, because if you know LeBron, he needs spacing, and that's when he's at his best. That's when he can hit guys right in the shooting pocket and be at his most effective. That's what he's made a career off of. Great spacing, great vision, and getting to the basket. But I'm concerned about LeBron because he hasn't been finishing that well. A couple of minor injuries. I think he's aging, and people want to act like, oh, you're 20-something, he's still is. No, he's not the same. He's not. He's not the same. You can see him, he's saving himself a lot of times. But again, I don't think LeBron is their issue. It's roster construction. Rob Pelinka, I can't believe he got an extension for doing such an awful job. This roster stinks. You can try to paint it any other kind of way. It's not good. I don't think it will be good till Russ's contract is up, and then they got a lot more money to really get some better pieces. But I thought they should have traded Russ for Buddy Hield. and Miles Turner. I think they still should, even though he's been better off the bench. I think the Lakers are cooked. They're not. They're definitely not a contender, and they may not make the playoffs. Like that's they may miss the playoffs again, completely and play in as well. I don't think they can be fixed this year. For the long term, you still have Anthony Davis, you still have Braun right now, and I think you can either sell everything but them two right now and just tear it down, or you can just add some shooters and stuff and just see where this goes. But I don't think it can be fixed this year. This is more of a next year type deal.
I agree. It doesn't seem like their hopes this year are looking very high.
No.
And it's kind of putting Ham in a really tough position too. But
I think Ham's a good coach. I think he's a good coach.
How much can you put exactly? How much can you actually put on him rather than It's if you what he walked into is not an easy turnaround.
Not at all. And they didn't go about turning it around even the right way. Exactly. I think it's that time of the show. It's time to get a little bit wet. It's time to get a little bit wet.
It's time for Hit the Showers on the Locker Room Podcast.
I guess I'll go first for Hit the Showers. Everybody's talking about that big QB draft class: Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, Mac Jones. Justin Fields is the best quarterback in that class, and I don't think it's close right now. This year two of Trevor Lawrence, we gave him the Urban Meyer debacle, but Justin Fields had the Matt Nagy debacle. So yes, Urban's was a little bit worse, but I mean Nagy's wasn't that much better. Now we're watching Justin Fields under a pretty good coach that has his best interests at heart and can develop quarterbacks. And we're watching Trevor with Doug Peterson, who's known to develop quarterbacks. Justin Fields is better. He's more versatile. He's running the ball. Like I said, he's definitely top 3 running quarterbacks in the league. And I think he's 2 behind Lamar. Like he runs, him and Jalen Hurts are really duking it out, but I think he just has flat out more speed than Jalen. Like that breakaway speed, he's breaking long runs each week now. And we're watching his development. We're watching the accuracy. We're watching him throw the ball. And they finally went all in on him like we talked about last week. But I think he's showing he's the best QB in that class. Trevor Lawrence not better than him. Trey Lance, we don't even know what the hell Trey Lance is. Mac Jones not better than him. I mean, I'm just like, I have to say it. He's the best quarterback in that class. He slid in the draft. We don't know why, because everybody was maybe projecting him to be number 2, and then the narrative just flipped. And I think he's making a lot of people eat their words. He's a rising star in the NFL. The Bears are a couple moves away from being a legit playoff contender, and I love to see it.
Yeah, and I will back your point in saying this is the record may not show it for the Bears and Justin Fields, but the Bears aren't losing games because Justin Fields' fault.
No,
it's offensive line issues. It's lack of talent around him. Defense is awful. And for Mac Jones, his defense is incredible, and they're saving the games. He's not great, but they are 5-5. And that's the difference. Or 5-4, excuse me. Like that's the difference. It's Mac Jones is okay. He's not nowhere near as good and talented and as athletic as Justin Fields is. So I think that's the thing is record may not show it for some of these guys, but Justin Fields is very as a complete athlete and quarterback to those guys in that class. And like you said, not even close. So here's the thing that is close for my Hit the Showers. And this is a poll to all the listeners. This will be on socials. Justin Jefferson's catch that we talked about earlier. That catch and Odell Beckham Jr.'s catch against Dallas. Which one is better? It's a tough
3 fingers while being pass interfered. I can't. I'm not putting that past it. It was a great catch, though. Catch of the year. I can't put it past Odell.
So that is going to be decisions of the fans on socials, Twitter, TikTok, whatever it is. You go on to social. You're gonna. Let me hear your opinions. Let me hear you on Instagram. Tag us. Show us what you know.
At me, ho.
Just which one was better? A, Justin Jefferson's catch from this past weekend, or B, Odell Beckham's catch against the Cowboys?
Don't be prisoners of the moment. Go watch that Odell Beckham catch from all 15 angles, and Chris Collinsworth go, I've never seen anything like it before.
Did he catch that? Yeah, that's incredible. And you know where to find the Locker Room Podcast. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube. You can find us on social media. You're just going to, anywhere you get podcasts, you let us know.
Apple Music, Pear Music. We shout out all the Pears, wherever. Your Palm Pilot, your fax machine. Just dial 15559. You'll get the Locker Room Podcast. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Go Irish, baby!
Oh, Lord.